Next, we will discuss the sheets that we use for documentation with our sessions. So we'll begin with our singles. We're going to go ahead and open up the single sheet. On this form, we have availability for 2 sessions. So we put the client's name, the date, the time, and it's very important to keep track of the session numbers. So we keep our numbers, session numbers, and these session numbers are separate from the number here where we keep track of how many of each protocol we're doing. We put our impedances here. We put our frequencies, or what we are training, in which room the client is in. That is also very important, since our computers are not on a local network in regards to the training software. So you'll have to keep track of which room they're in if you want to keep the same protocols going, or you can rebuild them when you go to a different room. So we have our number here. Now the session number is the total number of sessions. This line here, this number line right here, is keeping track of how many sessions we do in relation to the particular protocol that they're doing. We are able to indicate whether the client is doing an eyes open or eyes closed. We're also able to indicate on this map here which areas we're training. So if we are doing an LCC and we're doing 4 different channels, for instance, F7, F3, FZ, F4, we can mark either by circling or making an X through those sites. And the same for a single. If you want to do a single on your sheet, say for instance, you're training F4, just simply mark on F4, circle, or make an X through. On this side, we are able to record data in relations to the different bands that we're training. Not just training, but what we are also seeing during the session. So for instance, for this is a single sheet. So let's say we are training beta down, and let's just say 13 to 21. It's a good example. So this is the priority. This is what we would like to keep track of. However, we're going to have different recordings of amplitude at our theta, alpha, beta 2, delta. So we record all the numbers. And it is helpful to be able to keep track of trending, not just with the band that you are training, but all. At the bottom, your score is the percentage of reward. And we keep track of that. We also have a line for temperature. And we do have clients that measure their skin conductance with a thermometer. So we can record their skin conductance temperature from their finger on this as well. We also have an area on the bottom of our sheet, which is for our Lexicor system that we do with singles. We have a note area where we are able to make any type of notes regarding a conversation with a client, or if there are changes that need to be made to the protocols. And last but definitely not least is the area where we keep track of points for our clients. For every session, our clients are able to earn 500 points. And as they save, they're able to cash in their points for various gifts such as Legos, which are extremely popular, and gift cards to any local store. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our LCC documentation sheet. They're somewhat similar, all of our documentation sheets are, in regards to our demographic area. We do also have our session numbers for total sessions, as well as how many sessions we are doing per protocol. We're also able to indicate our eyes open or eyes closed as well. The only thing that is a little bit different than our single sheet, we are able to write down our time at the beginning and the end of the session. We are able to write down where they were beginning in relation to their threshold and percentage reward from the beginning and to the end. Everything else is the same. We have our MVC sheet. This one is pretty much different in every way. We use this when we are training people with our multivariate coherence training. We put the name, the date, the time. We put the protocol that we're doing, which is going to indicate the color on our head maps that we discussed in a different module. We're going to have our total number of sessions, which is the same as well as the number of sessions that we've done within a particular protocol, and our eyes open and eyes closed. In this area, the documentation will be different. We are training two different things at one time. We are increasing coherence and we are decreasing power at the same time. So we record our values for coherence and how often they're meeting their goals. As their coherence is increasing, we write that. We also write how well they are decreasing their power, as well as the percentage of reward. We also keep track of their high inhibit or EMG inhibit. This allows the client to be reminded if there is too much movement or tension that they need to just relax and be as still as possible for the session, which makes everything much better for them. We have the same area for notes and comments and for points. We're going to go ahead and open up our 19-channel PZOK documentation sheet. Everything is the same at the top for demographics, for sessions, for conditions, for eyes open and eyes closed. In our documentation area for our data, we do put the beginning time and the ending time. The SD stands for standard deviation, and that is for the Z-score window. We have our threshold, which is measured at where they are in relation to their goal line and how often they met their goal. We're going to go ahead and open up our 19-channel region of interest documentation sheet. Again, the top is the same. Our session numbers are the same. The conditions are the same. We can come over to where we record the data and put our beginning and our ending time. Depending on our region of interest, we will be measuring our cingulate or anterior cingulate or posterior cingulate and recording that data here, as well as how often the client was meeting their goals. Our last sheet is the SW Loretta documentation sheet. At the top, our demographic information is relatively the same. Our session numbers and how many we are doing per protocol is the same. Our conditions are the same. What we do in this area that's a little bit different is we do write down the goal line with the threshold in these areas, and then we write down points per round. So when you're doing SW Loretta, we do these sessions in rounds. And you can choose when you're setting up your protocol in the SW Loretta, you can choose how many rounds you would like, how many minutes you would like that round. So depending on how you set your protocol up is how you're going to document at the end of the session. And so those are the forms that we use for documentation for our neurofeedback sessions.